The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
When you walk out on that field today, ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. When I step on the field, I send a message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Ball is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? It's hot now. It's hot now. It's hot. We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all these 100-meter mind the heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up the chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. So much pride from him. He's a man. He can be a hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's more idea. When I step on the field, I send you a message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. You had to work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's a wrap. Game over.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Talk Your Team Tuesday on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM 92.3 FM. I am Willy Gibson, and as Cam Newton just said, I am back. AJ is still on assignment. Again, thankful for this opportunity to fill in for him. And as I said, it's Talk Your Team Tuesday, so everybody has a team. I know, whether it be the Texas Longhorns, Longhorn Keith, Todd Malcolm. I know the third item on my list, you're going to have some things to talk about, and I'm ready. Talk Your Team Tuesday. The Texans, the Rockets, 8 out of 10 going into tomorrow night's game at Cleveland, and the Cavaliers, who also are winners of the last 8 out of 10. So that'll be a matchup as well. I believe the Rockets came back from 19 down in the second half, to beat Atlanta with a 44-point fourth quarter. So talk your team. It's Tuesday, y'all. Talk Your Team Tuesday on the lunch break, KYOK. Reach out to me as well on social media. My DMs are open at Will Knows Sports, at Will Gibson 7 on Twitter, at Will Knows on Facebook. And I figured today, with me being in Houston, I want to talk your team. Not just my team, but your team. So U of H basketball, not necessarily the game though, but after the game. They had a game on Saturday at Alabama, 83-82 loss. A little bit of controversy there at the end on a call some thought was goaltending, was not called. So Alabama did escape at home with an 83-82 win. But what I want to talk about is Houston guard Jamal Shead after the game. Sophomore guard Jamal Shead for the University of Houston basketball team. Naturally, emotions were high. Close game. Some thought Houston did, in fact, win that game. So as the team was leaving the court, a trash can was toppled over, emptied, trash strewn all over that area. And as Jamal left the court, he stopped, picked up the trash can, and began to redeposit the items that were thrown out into the trash can. And I don't know how that's being viewed in Houston. I hadn't seen a lot about it nationally, or at least here in Columbus, Ohio. But I wanted to shed light on that, no pun intended, to Jamal. But I wanted to bring light to that situation, how that young man acted in a moment of adversity, that he allowed his character to shine through. You know, a wise man once told me character is how you act when no one could do anything to you nor for you. And in that moment, in fact, no one could do anything for him. It could have been it could have been very easy for him actually to just walk away, leave the contents of the trash can, go to the locker room, be upset, and casting no aspersions on anyone else on the team that may have walked away or even done that. But the mere fact that he stopped and picked the items up was phenomenal. So I want to make sure I bring that to light. Like I said, I'm not sure how it's being perceived in Houston, but I wanted to make sure that I commend that young man and salute him for that show of character and show of sportsmanship. Mr. Keith, good afternoon, sir. How are you? Talk your team Tuesday. The Bucks got a big win in overtime over the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. So getting geared up for the playoffs. I also want to talk about a young lady, and actually Nike. We'll talk a lot today about name, image, and likeness. The NCAA has allowed student athletes to now capitalize financially on their name, image, and likeness. And Nike, kudos to Nike for they tried to choke it away. Yes, sir, they did, Mr. Keith. Absolutely, they did. But they came on top. But Nike has signed their first athlete to a name, image, and likeness deal. First student athlete to a name, image, and likeness deal. It's not who you would think. You would think, and honestly, I'm excited and I'm happy that it is who it is. It's not the high profile revenue sport athlete. It's not Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young from Alabama. It's not a basketball player from Duke. It's not a football player from The Ohio State University. The first student athlete to sign a name, image, and likeness deal with Nike is UCLA female soccer star Raylan Turner. Raylan Turner of UCLA Soccer is the first student athlete to sign a name, image, and likeness deal with Nike. The 19-year-old LA native will partner with Nike on a series of community impact efforts to encourage local LA youth to be active. And again, that's a phenomenal feat, phenomenal opportunity for Ms. Turner to be the first. And again, it's not an athlete, a quarterback from Alabama, a center from the University of North Carolina. It's a female soccer student athlete from UCLA. So it goes a long way for Nike to make the step. And again, it's the non-revenue sports. I know for myself and maybe even a lot more people, when name, image, and likeness first became known or even publicized that it would begin on July 1 of 2021, most thought, again, myself included, it would be the high-profile athlete, the revenue-generating sports, the basketball player, the football student athlete, athletes of that ilk. But not only Ms. Turner at UCLA, you also have the gymnast at LSU, female women's gymnastic team member of LSU that also has seven-figure name, image, and likeness deals as well. So it's good to see that the non-revenue sports are being represented as well. So those guys will be, those athletes will be represented as well, and hopefully take those sports to the next level, allow them to be publicized, allow them to be recognized, as well as the athletes that are in the revenue sports. So, and thirdly, and again, Talk Your Team Tuesday. I know I'm in Houston, and I know there's a lot of UT Longhorn fans in the building today. So, Quinn Ewers, quarterback, formerly of the Ohio State University, did enter the transfer portal about 10 days ago, and yesterday announced that he will be signing with the University of Texas Longhorns. So, phenomenal student athlete, South Lake Carroll in the Dallas area, I believe. Did leave high school a year early due to Texas not allowing their high school athletes to capitalize off of name, image, and likeness deals that would be presented to them. So there was an opportunity for opportunity for him to reclassify, graduate high school early, come to the Ohio State University. And my understanding, he secured, I believe, 3 or 4 name, image, and likeness deals in the neighborhood of $3 million. $3 million in name, image, and likeness deals for Quinn Ewers. So, unfortunately for him, the stipulations of some of those deals were, in order for him to get paid, he would have to play. And here in Columbus, Ohio State has a freshman quarterback that just finished 4th in the Heisman Trophy voting. So there was not a lot of opportunity for him to play here in Columbus. So he chose to take his talents elsewhere and return home. Kudos to the young man. I know he visited Texas Tech early on and finally decided to sign with the University of Texas. So he does have 4 years of eligibility remaining. Steve Sarkisian, phenomenal coup for him to bring that young man back to Texas. And we hope it works out. Wish nothing but the best to him and his family as he returns to Texas. So that starts the Talk Your Team Tuesday. I'll talk a little bit more about my teams later. I wanted to start with that. We are at 1/4 the hour here on the lunch break, Talk Your Team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK. We will now have a word from our sponsors with Butterball.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's AJ Jones with the lunch break on the legendary KYOK AM 1140 at 92.3 FM. It's that time of year when we are reminded of all the things we should be thankful for and that it's more blessed to give than to receive. So with that in mind, on Wednesdays from now through Christmas, we'll give you a chance to win a gift certificate from Butterball. That's right. You can win a gift certificate for a Butterball turkey on Wednesdays on the lunch break between 12 and 2. Just be the right caller, and your Butterball turkey will be on us at the legendary KYOK AM 1140 at 92.3 FM.
And again, Talk Your Team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK Butterball. Winning Wednesday tomorrow. That's a phenomenal opportunity to win on Winning Wednesday on the lunch break, KYOK AM 1140, 92.3 FM. Talk Your Team Tuesday. So I know, like I said, Mr. Keith Hennig, I see the hook 'em horns. Thank you. Karen Gibson, thank you. We do want to wish the man that's causing all this the opportunity that he's afforded me to sit in his stead as he's away. AJ Jones celebrated a birthday yesterday on Monday, December 13th. So happy birthday, AJ Jones. Thank you. Not only for what you do for myself, but a lot of others as well. We want to make sure we give you your flowers. And now, hopefully you are celebrating, rejuvenating, recharging during your time away and are coming back fresh, ready to go, better than ever as you celebrate the birthday that you had on yesterday. So again, happy birthday, AJ. Thank you. Again, Texas fans, what does that do for Quinn Ewers? I know last year, You had Hand. You also had Casey Thompson, bit of a quarterback, two-headed system, if you will. Steve Sarkisian started with Hand, and I believe Thompson took over game 3, if I remember properly. So, how would that now with Quinn Ewers coming into the fold? How would that work? Is that going to be a scenario where Quinn Ewers comes in and, as some thought he would do here in Columbus, comes in and takes over the job there in Texas over Hand and over Casey Thompson, or does that now force one or both of those players to enter the transfer portal as Quinn Ewers did? And speaking of the transfer portal, I want to talk about that a lot, and I want to hear from you as well. Definitely comment on whatever platform you're listening to this show on: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. The transfer portal. I think it's. I actually had a conversation with a colleague of mine recently, and he expressed an opinion, and I tend to agree with it, that the transfer portal, while on one hand it's good for the current student athlete that may have, for whatever reason, no longer has affection or affinity for the school that he chose, has the opportunity to leave once with no penalty. Eligibility is it's reinstated immediately at the new school. What does it do for high school student athletes? You have the early signing period on tomorrow, actually Wednesday, December 15th. And now what we've seen is college coaches are going to the transfer portal first, looking to fill the needs that they have on their team instead of recruiting those high profile 4 and 5 star or even 3-star student athletes in high school. So it's kind of becoming a scenario where is the high school athlete beginning to suffer or be forced to be penalized for the transfer portal. While it's great for the student athlete that's currently in school. For example, not only Quinn Ewers left Ohio State and now is with Texas, there's been a couple defensive players as well. Yesterday, Craig Young, safety with Ohio State, entered the transfer portal and now is with the University of Kansas and has 3 years of eligibility remaining. So again, kudos to Craig Young. He went into the season of 2021 still thinking that he would be a starter at the Ohio State University, but for whatever reason, that opportunity escaped him. And so now he has moved on. He's decided to move on. And I apologize, something just came through. I believe a member of the Los Angeles Lakers has tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. I apologize. It literally just came through on my phone. I saw it pop up, so I wanted to make sure I'm correct in saying that. Yes, the Lakers have canceled. This is according to Dave McMenamin, Lakers team reporter for ESPN. The Lakers canceled practice today ahead of their flight to Dallas because of health and safety protocols, according to the team. A player has tested positive for COVID-19, sources tell ESPN. Members of the team were directed to take 2 tests, a rapid and a PCR, before meeting for the flight to Dallas later this afternoon, should they return negative results on the test. So again, according to Dave McMenamin, Lakers team reporter for ESPN, a player with the Los Angeles Lakers has tested positive for COVID-19, and the remaining members of the team have been directed to take 2 tests before meeting for their flight later this afternoon for Dallas. That's interesting because I was actually getting to that's unfortunate for the Lakers, but the Chicago Bulls have, within the last 2 weeks, have 10 players and health and safety protocol due to COVID-19 positive tested close contacts. Those players have been fully vaccinated. Most of those players also have received a booster. And again, since December 1st, 10 Chicago Bull players have tested positive for COVID-19 at different opportunity. There were different junctures of the last 2 weeks. So to the point where the NBA has stepped in and postponed the next 2 games for the Chicago Bulls. I believe tonight, Tuesday night, versus the Detroit Pistons, as well as the game after versus the Toronto Raptors. The league has stepped in and postponed those 2 games. So we are awaiting our next guest. So if you apologize for having a bit of a technical difficulty, as we wait for our next guest to join. Again, to recap, Chicago Bulls, and actually, I know for most of you who were able to join the show on Thursday when Chris Gardner was on the show, he asked me if I had the Bulls had played the Cleveland Cavaliers Wednesday night, and they were in the midst of that COVID strain. And he asked me, Joe, had I been around the team, and I had not at that time, but since then they've had multiple players, actually 3 players that were on the court that night, enter health and safety protocol for COVID-19. And again, a member of the Los Angeles Lakers has also tested positive, according to Dave McMenamin of ESPN. So unfortunately, I mean, this is currently where we stand with the NBA. And I've always said sports is a microcosm of society. And unfortunately, this virus is taking effect and also impacted not only the world, but the NBA. But as we wait, I do believe we have our guest online. This gentleman, a broadcast journalist, I first became acquainted with him about 21 years ago, and formerly of ESPN. I want to talk definitely with him about what he's doing right now. But without further ado, please welcome Lunch Breakers to KYOK and the Lunch Break, Kenny Mayne. Kenny, how are you, sir?
I'm well. It's such a nice day. I came outside, and I'm going to block the sun. How's that?
That's great. Okay, now where are you? I know you're, bi-coastal, northeast, northwest. Where are you?
This is northeast. Took me about 20 minutes to figure out how to log into your system. I was texting you, not realizing you were on, not seeing it, but it all worked out. I had help from my daughter, my wife. I'm old. I don't do I want it to be easy. Somebody else set up the technical stuff. I'll come on and talk.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you again for joining us. And as I said in the intro, we first met 21 years ago. And I want to say this, we give you your flowers now. In the last 21 years, every time I've called you, I haven't gone through your people. I haven't had to wait. I've called you. You've picked up the phone and you've responded. You've been there. So I want to thank you for that.
Absolutely. I don't have any people, so it was easier just to go to me.
All right. Oh, man, appreciate you. So what's going on, man? I know we had discussed you had recently left ESPN. So are you able to discuss what are you doing right now?
This very second, I'm about ready to go to Boston to see my daughter, who goes to Boston U.
Okay.
And then pick up our other daughter, who goes to USC, because she's flying back for Christmas. Okay. We got 4. So Gretchen and I each had 2 coming into this.
Yeah.
And we got married 4 years ago. And we got a college graduate, Riley, in Colorado, a college junior at Boston, college freshman at USC, and a high school sophomore back here in Connecticut. So we're busy enough. I'm staying busy with a whole bunch of different projects. I did the Olympics for NBC or Peacock. Did the dog show with Katie Nolan for them as well. That was fun. Done a couple commercials here and there, the EA Sports thing, Olipop. And then I also, my sort of main thing has been working with Caesars doing commercial. I'm in a commercial that just came out. I can say that I was on screen with Halle Berry for 2.5 seconds, so that's probably my career achievement. And JB Smoove, you know,
Yeah.
he plays the role of Caesar. The Manning brothers and father are all in it, and Trey Wingo was next to me as well. So we had fun on that, and then, you know, just doing other promotional videos for them. We came out with a cartoon, just to be stupid, like teaching people about how the app works and all that. So it's been fun and eventful several months since I left.
Awesome. I know since you left, I know we talked about also you run freely. I know for those that don't know, let me say this. You may be the last quarterback to keep Randall Cunningham on the bench. I'll say that.
Well, Sam King was ahead of me. By the way, I'm still hung up on trying to block the sun. I thought I'd come out because it's such a pretty day, not realizing the sun is right there. I'm trying to get a better. Oh, see, now I feel better.
Yeah.
So, see, if we had technical people, they would have said, turn the camera. Here I am, feeling better. So yeah, I played at UNLV long ago. Walked on at Washington, walked off, went to junior college, walked on at UNLV, got a scholarship, but I was sort of perennial second string. I played a little bit here and there, but was no big star. But my senior year was Randall Cunningham's freshman year, and the kid who played ahead of both of us, named Sam King, led the nation in passing yards. I was second to him. A guy named Alan Reynolds was next from Buell, Idaho. I always mention him. And Randall Cunningham out of Santa Barbara. See, I'm so old, I remembered his brother, you know, Sam the Bam Cunningham out of USC. Because when I was a little kid, I was probably 8 or 9 years old. Remember, he had the 4-touchdown Rose Bowl, which you probably have from your 2-minute drill days.
Yeah.
You know, he was a superstar. So we were like, oh man, this kid's related to Sam. That was a big deal, knowing that he was the brother of this other guy that we all knew about, right? And then we come to learn Randall was going to be what he was going to be. You knew he was going to be great. It's just, you know, as a freshman, when you already have seniors that know what they're doing, freshmen don't usually just jump in and play, no matter how good he was. So he quickly, you know, made a name for himself and should be in the Pro Hall of Fame. He's in the College Hall of Fame. And he's a pastor now out in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we keep in touch here and there. But you were getting to the whole football story. I broke my leg the year before. And then 40 years later, the ankle wasn't working well, still doesn't. But I found this amazing device up in Gig Harbor, Washington, and literally was running on a treadmill on the first day, when otherwise my ankle, you know, really doesn't work, has no flexion, you know, can't move very, very much on the rotation, the talus joint, I think it's called. So we got this device, and Gretchen, my wife, and I started a foundation literally like, you know, the next day. Let's get it going because we should do something good with this gift. And we've been able to put it on the legs of about 30 or more veterans in 3 years, almost one a month, I think we're up to. And we just did a couple really cool events in Seattle that kind of promoted it more. So the foundation is called Run Freely, RUNFREELY, runfreely.org.
Awesome. So how can one get involved with that if they wanted to assist, or how can one do that?
Go to the website. I put it out. You know, it's not like we're some big foundation with a building and, you know, 100 volunteers. It's pretty much me and my Twitter and my wife hyping it, and some friends, a guy named Mara Gallagher down in South Carolina. She's been very beneficial to us. We've had just individuals that stood up. I mean, Jamal Crawford gave $1,000 for each of my years at ESPN as his farewell gift to me when I was leaving. You know, Dale Earnhardt helped out, Jerry Rice, Steve Largent, Gary Payton, Lenny Wilkins, Chris Long, Steve Kerr. I'm leaving out some others who've helped, and I apologize for that. I can't think of everybody's name off the top of my head. Sue Bird. So we've just gotten support in little and big ways. You know, sometimes somebody with a following, if they just put out the word, Rex Chapman has done it a number of times, just letting more people know. And if, you know, one of them hears about it and writes a check for 10 grand or $10 for that matter, right? Everybody's dollar is of different relative value to them. And so we just kind of go one by one. We just got to tell a young lady, I just read her email last night. She thanked me, and it was just like humbling how they will write back to you. They're so touched by somebody still cares about us, and the VA couldn't help out. So therefore we're going to private people like us and private organizations. And I think the government should be doing more. You know, the VA should be doing more. That's up to other people. so the rest of us can chip in and kind of fill the holes.
Phenomenal. Congratulations and continued success with Run Freely as well. You mentioned 2-minute drill, and I was going to try to leave it alone, but you mentioned it.
I know it's 20. I was just telling my wife it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. 2000,
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah. 2000, 2001. Yep. And what I remember about that, I mean, first of all, for those that don't know, I was a contestant on 2-minute drill. Kenny Mayne was the host at ESPN during 2000 and 2001. And I was able to win twice. And what people always ask me to in person is after I won, I think it was the first time, you walked up and you fell. And everyone's looking like, did he really fall? Did he really fall? I'm like, I don't know. So now that we're here face to face, the world is asking, did you really fall?
No, it was an attempt at comedy. And I got to ask another technical question. Am I still showing up on your show? Because I no longer see you.
Yes.
I believe in you. I believe your voice is there.
Yes.
I got the Adobe Flash Player general information page on my screen asking me many questions. I don't really want to be involved, Adobe. I'd like you to go away right now and let me do my thing with Will. No, I was trying to imitate Dick Van Dyke, essentially. Great comic, physical comedy, and all kinds of comedy. In fact, I think his birthday was just yesterday. I think I saw a note on that. He's like upper 90s. Something a guy like him would do just to get a laugh at the end, because it was supposed to be this big momentous, trophy presentation with everything that was behind it, when in fact it was just a made-up game show for ESPN2, right? And I was just trying to clown around, like something my best friend Mark Sanser would do, like, come into a room and trip and fall just to get the reaction. Not everybody got it, because like you say, some people are like, did that happen on purpose? And I really wanted to crash into the trophy. We'd give you another one afterward, but not everybody got that one, but it's okay. Keep trying. But you didn't win once, you won twice, back-to-back champion. And then I bet you know the name, because you're better with all sorts of memory. What's the kid who won next was from Syracuse. That I remember.
Yep.
Gosh dang it. I feel like it started with an A, the last name.
Adesina Kosicki.
Hey, I was close.
Yep.
I love know what he's up to. So it was a really fun run. Michael Davies, who had done Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for ABC, right, which was the big hit TV show just before that, he approached ESPN and had this idea. Basically, I think we were taking another show from England, which is pretty much what we do in American television a lot, and just adapting it to our audience. It was a great concept. I think in hindsight, I might have not had as many professional athlete stars, entertainers, and maybe narrowed it to two, because we slowed down the pace of the game for the contestant. If you chose somebody who reads slowly or speaks slowly or whatever, right, you're kind of cheating yourself, but you don't know until it's time.
Right.
Because the way it worked is there'd be a category, just like Jeopardy, there'd be a general category, and the contestant would pick from that category or pick the athlete to read the question for that category, I should say. So what was our ending thing? The question of great significance, I believe we called it.
It was.
Like, give me a multiple choice and your specialty, your first year. I want to see if I can even remember.
The first year was Deion Sanders.
That wasn't a multiple choice. You just flat
out. No, I'll tell you what it was. It was he had 3 interceptions in bowl games. So you want to know the bowl game and the team that he played.
Oh man. See, there's certain things I could do pretty well, but again, it's like, when people, there's the pressure that you were so good at overcoming. People will play we'll play like a little word game in the living room with, my wife and a couple daughters and friends. And it's funny how, even though there's no money on the line, not on TV, but there's that thing, everybody tenses up, name a movie. I can't think of one movie ever, people freeze up in the moment, especially when there's money on the line or the prestige of, being the winner. So you were very good at that, staying calm. That was I think the key thing for any of the contestants. Don't panic. Just, okay, you missed one, get the next one, like anything else. But contests are hard that way. There's certain sports things that I'm still a little nerdy about that I would do okay, but no way would I do well across the board that way. There's just too much to remember.
You mentioned the first season. Let me give you my second season. This is what I remember. Cost me $30,000, if I can say it like that way. Eddie George was season 2. And you asked me the 2 longest runs of his college career. You needed the yardage, the year he was in school, and the opponent. And I'm sitting there like, oh, I'm counting 17,000, 18,000, 19,000. Because I got it. I got it, right? 76 yards, junior year, Michigan State. 87 yards, senior year. And I know it's Minnesota, but for whatever reason, Arizona comes out.
Oh, no.
And you said Arizona. No, you said no. And I'm like, what? You said Arizona. And I'm looking at you like, there's no way in the world. I said Arizona. And I remember going in my mind, and to the point where they checked the tape and said, no, Willie, you really did say Arizona. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I've done the same thing, like on a Sports Center. After the show or in the commercial break, they'll be like, hey, do you know you just said, some word that's not the right word? And your mind plays tricks on you. And also the pressure of trying to pull it off in a finite amount of time. The clock was literally ticking. That was what we tried to do to add the drama, have that clock beat going and bring up, whatever tension would create to make it more dramatic. But those are fun years. I was always bummed out that they quit on it when they did, because it seemed like we were just kind of, now we get the pace of this thing. We were getting better at how to do the questions. I was getting better at what I do. The contestants, were lining up to be in it. We had a lot of people. You had to kind of did you have to take a little practice test quiz or something to even qualify to get considered?
Yeah, you did. It was 20 questions in 12 minutes. Yep.
Yeah. No, it was fun while it lasted. There's no reason them or somebody else couldn't bring something back quite similar, because definitely now, so many times you get around, like a holiday party or anytime a barbecue, and, men, women, whoever start talking about the old days. What about this? And everybody has a story to tell, or the time they remember this. And it just kind of goes along with people liking to hang on to those memories. A lot of it, born from your childhood, right? Stuff you grew up that you loved. Somebody would become an expert about this or an expert about that. I'd say if I were just doing straight up trivia, I might be better at the 1969 Seattle Pilots than anything current today. So it's like, I was 9 years old and I cared more, right? I watched or listened. I didn't watch every game. I listened to them on the radio, went to a lot of them in person. For those who don't know, I'm sure you do, that team then became the Milwaukee Brewers after one season in Seattle. And the state of Washington had to sue Major League Baseball to get a new team, which became the Mariners about 7 years later. And then they built the Kingdome, and away they went. But there's an old friend at ESPN I bump into once in a while on the street, Steve Vecchione, and he's about the only one. We'll play a game where you can name an old player, and the other guy has 30 seconds to name another player. Yeah. And you lose if you can't get a new guy out in that time. I'm not as sharp as I once was at. I could rattle off 40 of them, I think, in the old days. But yeah, I think you just love what you love. You grew up with what you grew up with, and some of that just gets imprinted, forever. I can remember specific games of Seattle Sonics. I was there for the Spencer Haywood injury game. I was there for the Lenny Wilkens return game, although I got sold out. I was so mad that the Sonics traded Lenny Wilkens for Butch Beard. And so now he's with Cleveland, and Cleveland's coming to play Seattle. So all of us were wanting to go root Lenny, who we loved, even against our home team, because we were so mad about the trade. I ended up getting sold out. Me and my friends, we brought back then, you could get in for $5, but scalpers were selling them for 20 or 30 or whatever they were.
Wow.
We needed a team back up there. Speaking of that, but we got the new building now. I've seen a couple of Kraken games in person.
Yep.
And I'm hopeful the NBA joins the WNBA. We already got the Storm.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So would you want the Thunder back, or do you want a new team?
No, I would hope it's an expansion team, because I would feel guilty, name a city where, NBA's doing pretty well, actually. The revenue's up and players are all getting paid. Some people question, can we dilute it by one or two more teams? Or is there enough talent? I think there is. There's the amount of talent around the league is insane. And I don't know why we can't get 12 more players, The
Oh.
Europeans will fill it. Let Jamal Crawford come back for one more season, which is
Go.
that would have been that's a good quiz that now has changed. I just saw a thing on Twitter, I think this morning. For a while, there were 4 guys who had scored 50 points for 3 different teams.
Yep.
And he was one of them. Then he did it again. So he's the only guy to do it for 4 different teams. And I think that was his last full game, right? With Phoenix against Dallas. It was the Nowitzki retirement game. And then Jamal stole the show with 51.
Yeah.
He got in for a minute with the Nets during the bubble, but he got hurt right away. And then, he hasn't been called back this year. So he's doing great, though, on that NBA League Pass thing. He's doing his own little version of the simulcast.
I'm looking at the comments here, and you may not be able to see them on your side, but someone said, as far as 2-minute drill, I recommend bringing it back with both of you guys guest hosting.
Why not?
Why not? Let's do it.
Might have to find a different channel, but
of course.
We'll do the people's quiz. We'll just put it out on YouTube or something.
Listen, let's do it.
And where are you right now?
I'm in Columbus.
Okay.
In Columbus. Yep.
I've been back there. I was there for an Ohio State story. Gosh, it's been a long time. But we don't do or didn't do as many of those road trips toward the end of what I was doing. It was almost all just sports centers in the studios. But in the old days, it was always, we're going here for 2 days. We're going there for a day and a half, whatever the case was, and making up stuff on the road.
I know you were here at Delaware for the Little Brown Jug. We got a chance to connect. Harness racing.
I didn't do that. I think we showed it in our Thoroughbred broadcast.
Got it.
That was, if I recall, because I did Delaware Park. There was a number of years where, God dang, I did 20, 25 horse races a year. All the prep races: Santa Anita, Sunland, Aqueduct, Florida Derby, Oakland Park. All over the place, and then lead up to the Triple Crown races. Then we'd come back in the summer and do Saratoga and Delaware and Del Mar and all over the place, and Keeneland, all the prep races that would lead to the Breeders' Cup. And then ESPN ended up giving back all the the horse race coverage to NBC. So it was fun while it lasted, though. I always enjoyed going to those, doing the football stories on the road. Everything we did was pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, I'm not keeping you from Boston, are you? Are you getting on the road today?
What time is it? Yeah, we're leaving in 45 minutes. We're okay.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So, all right. I lost my thought. All right. I gotta ask this.
I'm just keep on moving my. There we go.
Yeah.
Better shot.
All right. So, can you tell this now? I know at one point we couldn't talk about it, but the ESPY story, is that something we could talk about?
I think I've talked about it. I'm not sure. It's a long story. I'll condense it. There's good parts to it too. So they wanted Dan Patrick and I to do this skit where we were going to pretend like we were pointing guns at the guys from the show. What was that show called? Sports Night, right? The ABC
Right.
Sports Night, the Sorkin show about sort of takeoff of what life is at a big sports network. And the premise was they're stealing our material at the podium. We're upset, so we're pointing guns at them. And I'm hearing the pit. I'm like, do we want to be holding guns on TV? I just don't know. I don't think that's a good look for openers or joking about shooting people, because this isn't a comedy about cops and robbers and there'd be gun. This is a award show, and suddenly we're going to be going like this. So I kind of protested. I thought it was a bad idea. There was a little argument, half hour of awkwardness on stage as people were debating what we should or shouldn't do. Somehow somebody came up with a compromise that somebody else would hold the guns and Dan Patrick and I would be near them as though they're our guys, I guess. I still thought it was a horrible idea, but I was kind of the new guy. I'd only been there about 3 or 4 years and had only recently started doing, the shows with Dan on SportsCenter. So I kind of plugged my nose, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. But I didn't buy it at all. I thought it was a terrible idea. They taped it and then they ran it back during the live show. And some of the audience was funny, some didn't, and everybody okay, that happened. So I think there's a chance I was kind of I think I'll just do whatever I want now to make up for the fact I was in that terrible skit.
Yeah.
And I did. I think we had a commercial. Remember the Sports Center commercials? And
Yep.
there was one that was getting a lot of play right at that time with Alexi Lawless, me, and some others, where I was like running around like I'd scored a goal in foosball, and I was imitating. I think it was a Dutch player, if I'm not mistaken, where he slides and ends up, with his head in his hands and his elbow on the floor. And so I thought people would get what I was doing, and I ran and slid like I was imitating that bit. And I think most of the audience like, what the hell just happened? Why'd that guy sprint on the stage? All right, so that part was over. Then I didn't exactly read what was in the teleprompter. I think I gave a clenched fist shout out to my brothers at ESPN News who were not invited. I'll bring you back shrimp from the post party. Like I was just doing whatever, right? Some people thought it was weird. Other people didn't like it at all because I was way like, what the hell's he doing? We're going way off the rails here. And yeah, they didn't love it ultimately. I stand behind what I did. I also stand still against the terrible skit. I wish that had never happened. Because I was like, what if somebody just lost their kid to gun violence in the last 3 days and now we're making jokes about shooting people over no reason? Like it didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And it happened. ESPYs did a lot of other good things, particularly for the V Foundation. So still a supporter of all that. But that night, they did what they did. I did what I did, and whatever. It's a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I know you got to get on it. I'm not going to have Miss Gretchen mad at me. So you got to get to Boston. So I appreciate you. Listen, before we go, they're asking, and I was going to ask you this anyway, the website again, Run Freely. If you could share that again one final time. It's
very easy. Put the two words together, run and freely. So RUNFREELY, runfreely.org. And it tells the whole story. It tells about how I broke my leg at Oregon and how I ended up running into this guy named Ryan Blanc in Gig Harbor, Washington. It's cool, like seeing all the people who helped out. We got the picture of everybody who came to our first event, which was Jamal and Gary and Jerry Rice, Steve Largent, Lenny Wilkins was there. He's not pictured. And our first recipient. And like I said, I just mailed the check like 2 days ago, I think. They're going to have the money to buy the next two. One veteran just got his. We got to put a picture on Twitter of him walking with his daughter. And the next young lady veteran is getting hers in January. So we'll just start raising money again after the first of the year and try to get some more people moving pain-free.
Awesome. Thank you for what you're doing with that. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. And Merry Christmas to you and the family. Safe travels.
Let's go save that quiz show. We'll make it happen.
The People's Quiz. Let's do it.
You got it, man. Nice seeing you. Merry Christmas.
All right, Merry Christmas. Kenny Marion, y'all. Kenny Marion will talk your team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK. And I mean that. I'm serious. I had to give him his flowers now because in 21 years, I've never had a time where I've called him and he didn't answer. So we'll come back to recap that. Again, you are listening to Talk Your Team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK, AM 1140, 92.3 FM. Right now, we will take a moment to listen to Winning Strategies to Kaylin Carr.
Winning strategy. Learning to save $2 or $3 out of every $10 was one of the lessons my parents shared with me. They wanted us to start early, teaching how to save so that we could break the curse of living from paycheck to paycheck and borrowing to make ends meet. My parents said that finances are a struggle for people, even good people. They wanted us to appreciate the finances we had, but also have wisdom of spending it. I had to learn it as a child that even though my parents gave me a roof over my head, food to eat, and clothes to wear, if I wanted to go to the movies or skating, I had to save money for those things. I began to encourage myself to save money. I learned that youth respond better if we challenge them even at a young age to learn how to manage every dollar they get. Welcome to Allstate, where we've just lowered our auto rates. And savings like that will have you jumping for joy. Now get new lower auto rates with Allstate, because better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click or call for a lower auto rate today.
All right. You are again listening to Talk Your Team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK 92.3 FM AM 1140 Houston, Conroy. This is Willy Gibson filling in for AJ Jones, who is on assignment. And again, kudos. Thank you to Kenny Mayne. Kenny Mayne, great segment. Thank you for the comments. Dr. J said, awesome. Thank you. It's awesome 2 days for you as well. I was able to tune in and definitely took a ride down memory lane with the Houston Oilers. And Karen Gibson, great segment. Thank you for that. Runfreely.org is the organization Kenny spoke of, assisting veterans with returning or improving their quality of life. He mentioned the veteran they most recently assisted walking with his daughter, and actually saw that photo earlier today. And it definitely is not only this time of year, but to see anyone that's able to return to a semblance of their normal life is phenomenal. And what he does with that program is phenomenal, and kind of took a peek behind the curtain, because I've always wanted to know. That was for me too. That was, if I can say, a bit of a fanboy moment, because I've always heard about the ESPY story, but I never heard the story. And now that he's no longer with ESPN, he was able to share it, and he shared it on the lunch break, Talk Your Team Tuesday. So that was phenomenal. As I said, it is Talk Your Team Tuesday. The Houston Rockets. I know we joked last week with Chris Gardner. They started out 1-15. They went on a 7-game winning streak. They lost 2. And last night in Atlanta, they did beat the Atlanta Hawks. They had a 44-point fourth quarter. I think the score was 126-119, if I remember properly. I apologize for that, not having that information there. But the Houston Rockets in Atlanta last night, 132-126. 132-126. The Houston Rockets did beat the Atlanta Hawks. They now sit at 9-18. They play winners of 8 of their last 10. They also, again, as I stated, play the Cleveland Cavaliers on tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, in this name of corporate sponsorship. Almost mentioned the previous name of the Cleveland Cavaliers home, but it's Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse that game will take place in tomorrow night. Both teams, again, 8 out of 10 winners of the 8 of their last 10 games. And kudos to Coach Silas, because being away from Houston, just watching from afar, they conversations that have been had about, is he really the coach for that team? And the way they started out 1-15, for them to go on that 7-game winning streak, I think answered a lot of questions. And he's operating at less than 100% capacity. John Wall, as Chris Gardner likes to call him, Coach Wall, is not playing. Has an opportunity to sit and, as we've been told, get back into basketball shape, which I don't understand, with it being almost Christmas, 2 months, almost 3 months into the season. How is it that you're not in basketball shape as of yet? I understand you have injuries. I understand your body needs time to heal, but to say you're not in basketball shape at this juncture of the season is very, very interesting. And then only in basketball will you be allowed to sit not only John Wall, but also Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. Those players are not playing. They're being paid. And understand when I say this, I am not one to get in anyone's pocket. I'm not. maximize your earning potential. Make all the money you can. Make all the money that's available to you. It's just interesting that you don't see in the NFL or even in Major League Baseball or soccer or any other sport that players are able to decide, you know what, I'm not going to play, and management ownership is okay with that. Coaching is okay with that. John Wall sits next to the coaches every game, and he's a mentor. So for Steven Silas to not only have that scenario and that situation, but also to, I believe, have the youngest team in the league with Jalen Green and Josh Christopher, the other young men, also Kevin Porter Jr. To mix that dynamic along with the DJ Augustine, along with a Eric Gordon, Daniel Tice, all of that together. Now, yes, he's the coach and he's paid to govern that team, if you will. But again, to have the youth that he has to deal with the controversy, not the controversy, but deal with the losing, just call it flat out what it is, the losing that he had to deal with, and for him to come out. So it'd be interesting. And like I said, the Cavs, 17-12, that's the team I cover here in Ohio. And I'll be completely transparent. I never, ever, 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 ever thought that this team would be 17-12 at this point in the season. Team won 19 games last year. They finished 19-53. So for them to be 17-12, not only 17-12, but they've completed the toughest stretch of their schedule. I believe one organization have them listed as having the easiest schedule remaining of all 30 NBA teams. So the last 53 games that the Cavs have, they rank as the easiest schedule in the league. So Darius Garland in his third year has taken them a major step forward. He's the floor general of his team, averaging 17 points, 8 assists. Lauri Markkanen, who I, without question, blasted the trade that Kobe Altman, the general manager, made for him, has done nothing but been phenomenal for this team. And JB Bickerstaff, let's not, the players are playing well, but the coach, JB Bickerstaff, I believe is in Houston for a while as well. So for JB Bickerstaff to come in, do what he's done with that team, leadership, have them playing, I believe, at third in defense in the NFL or in the NBA rather. So give him his credit as well. So it looks like we're at the top of the hour. So just sit tight for a second and we will be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
When you walk out on the field today, ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Rewind. When I step on the field, I send you a message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Ball is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? It's hot now. It's hot now. It's hot. talking about the Saints. All this 100-meter Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up the chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much pride from him. He's a man. He can be hit just like us. He's a man. You ought to make the big money. He's a man. Don't call him you step on the field, man. That's who I am. When I step on the field, I send you a message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's a wrap. Game over.
No, sir. This game is just at the half, hour 2 of Talk Your Team Tuesday on the lunch break with AJ Jones on the legendary KYOK AM 1140 and 92.3 FM. I am Willy Gibson. AJ is on assignment. And what a first hour. I mean, I'm grateful for Kenny Mayne to come on. I had no idea that it would turn into what it turned into. So phenomenal interview words that he shared. Runfreely.org is the organization that he's working with, assisting veterans. The recap: the Los Angeles Lakers have had a player test positive for COVID-19 in advance of their flight to Dallas for Wednesday night's game versus Dallas Mavericks. All teams members are taking 2 additional tests to confirm the positive, and their status for Dallas tomorrow will be updated accordingly. As we talked about earlier as well, the Chicago Bulls have 10 players in health and safety protocols for COVID-19, and their next 2 games have been postponed by the NBA tonight, Tuesday night, versus the Detroit Pistons, as well as their game Thursday versus the Toronto Raptors. Also, Quinn Ewers, South Lake Carroll, Quinn Ewers, quarterback formerly of The Ohio State University, has decided on his next stop. He did enter the transfer portal and did sign with the University of Texas on Monday. So now he is a Texas Longhorn, has 4 years of eligibility remaining. Talk Your Team Tuesday. Again, I see Big Time Floyd has checked in, enjoying the show. Thank you, sir. Enjoying you and all the lunch breakers as well. Again, this has always been a second home to me. Grateful, thankful to AJ for sharing this platform with me, not only today and Thursday, but also any other time that I'm able to call in and share with you guys. I definitely feel the love, and I just feel it. I feel it, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for that. Nike, again, for those that missed in the first hour, Raylan Turner, UCLA sophomore soccer student athlete, has been the first, or is the first student athlete to sign with Nike a name, image, and likeness deal. Huge for women's soccer, huge for non-revenue sports, because again, very easily could have been a Bryce Young Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, the natural market is there. You're a Heisman Trophy winner. Now, he alone by himself has over $1 million in name, image, and likeness deals prior to him becoming a Heisman Trophy winner. So the non-revenue sports, I think, are stepping up. And it was assumed that, football, basketball, those sports would monopolize and pretty much have a greater portion of the name, image, and likeness deals. And it's really not been that thus far. It's been the soccer athletes, student athletes. It's been the women's gymnastics team. I believe, again, the young lady at LSU has signed for over 7 figures and name, image, and likeness deals. So again, phenomenal opportunity for these student athletes, because not every student athlete is going to be able to go to the NBA or to the NFL. Clearly, in these non-revenue sports, that opportunity does not present itself. However, they have the same 20 hours per week. Well, 20 hours per week. Those that are watching the stream can see my air quotes, the same 20 hours per week that the revenue sports have, as far as study or practicing, weightlifting, film study, study table, and still on top of that, attend class. And so for those student athletes that create and produce revenue for the respective universities that they represent, I know it's far beyond time for them to be able to partake of that. And if the school doesn't have the resources to provide financial expenses to them, and then they've been allowed to pursue those on their own. And it's a phenomenal thing. So, kudos to the, I don't believe I'm about to say this, I had to stop and pause. Kudos to the NCAA, I suppose, for allowing this opportunity, because it's been happening. It's not a scenario that these student athletes all of a sudden on July 1st began to receive financial considerations for their gifts, talents, and abilities. I'm a graduate of the Ohio State University. My roommate was a football player in the early 90s. And to be completely transparent with you, there are some things I still am unable to discuss in 2021 that occurred in 1995. So I'll leave that there. And as I say that, more breaking news as the sports world is overtaken by COVID-19. Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry, as well as tight end Austin Hooper, are among 8 Cleveland Browns players placed on the reserve COVID-19 list on Tuesday. Now, if you remember, on Thursday, I mentioned 2 players, linebacker Anthony Walker, as well as punter Jamie Gillen, were placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. There actually was a 3rd player as well. Tight end David Njoku was placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. And now Jarvis Landry, wide receiver. I'm just looking at the list now as they come across. Austin Hooper, tight end. In addition to them, 6 additional players. Starters Wyatt Teller, Jedrick Wills Jr. on the offensive line. It's also possible that guard Drew Forbes, as well as Takk McKinley, will not be available for the Browns as they take on the Las Vegas Raiders on Saturday. And that's key, that it's Saturday. And we're at the point of the season that the NFL is playing Saturday games and not Sunday games. The key to that is because if those players are fully vaccinated, they'll be able to return in time for Sunday's game if they were to test negative twice, 24 hours apart. So if they were placed on that list and they were able to test negative 24 hours apart before Sunday's game, they would be cleared to play. With the game being Saturday, that cuts a day down on their availability or their opportunity to be tested twice negative and then 24 hours apart in order to play for Saturday's game. And those are the requirements for a fully vaccinated player. If any of those players are unvaccinated, which I believe my understanding is the majority of the Browns are, unvaccinated players would have to miss at least 10 days if they were to test positive for the virus. If they were unvaccinated, clearly due to a positive test, they would be unable to play on Saturday. see your question, Mr. Keith. If these players are vaccinated and feeling well, why should they not play? It's a requirement of the NFL. The NFL rules state that they have to, once they test positive, vaccinated, they have to turn in 2 negative COVID-19 tests 24 hours apart in order to be able to play. Now, that's if you've tested positive. Now, because we do have a scenario, it wasn't the NFL, but it was the NBA, where LeBron James tested positive, and it turned out to be a false positive. So he was able to test again twice, 24 hours apart, tested negative both times. So I believe he tested positive on a Tuesday. He tested negative on a Thursday, tested positive on a Tuesday, tested negative on a Wednesday, tested negative on a Thursday, and was fully reinstated on that Friday. There are many false positives. You're correct. And we don't know. This could be a scenario where it's a false positive. This could be a scenario where these guys were close contacts, because also the NFL has stipulations if if a player is a close contact, and has not tested positive, fully vaccinated, then yes, they do have the opportunity to test negative twice and 24 hours apart and be able to play the next game. So let's see, we're dealing with this on Tuesday. So if they tested positive on Tuesday, we're looking at a negative test on Wednesday, a negative test on Thursday. They would be reinstated on Friday, the day before the game on Saturday, which is plausible. But again, that's if someone has not tested positive. So it remains to be seen. So this is interesting that it's coming on the heels of, we mentioned in the first hour, that the Los Angeles Lakers have a player who's tested positive for COVID-19. Remaining players are taking 2 tests, a rapid test as well as PCR test, prior to their status being updated for their flight to Dallas. Also, in addition to that, yesterday was the highest number of positive tests in the NFL since the testing has started. 37 people associated with the NFL, 36 players and 1 staff member of a team tested positive on Monday in the NFL. So now you have this scenario where 8 Cleveland Browns have been placed on a reserve COVID-19 list in advance of Saturday's game versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And again, that's not to minimize it, but looking at the on-field status of that's huge, because the the Browns just won a big division game on Sunday, beating the Baltimore Ravens. I chuckled because I know there's a listener that's a little sore about the Ravens losing on Sunday, but the Browns did win a huge division game on Sunday, beating the Baltimore Ravens 24-22. So putting themselves back in a position to fight for a playoff spot. They're the 8th seed right now. The top 7 seeds go to the playoffs, and they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who also are fighting for that AFC playoff spot. So for them to have this happen on a Tuesday, that's very, very interesting. Dr. J states, do you think leagues may go back to a bubble? I do. That's definitely an option that's available. I know on yesterday, the NFL announced that all Tier 1 and Tier 2 members of league protocols have to have a booster shot by December 27th. Again, that was in response to the single highest number of daily positives in the NFL since testing began. 37 positive tests across the NFL on Monday. they did implement that all tier 1 and tier 2 personnel have to have a booster by December 27th. So yes, that is an opportunity. I'm sure as this is happening and Roger Goodell is paying a close eye to this. Adam Silver, because I said again, his league, one team, it's starting to spread because the Philadelphia had, I believe, 4 players, and then the Charlotte Hornets had 5 players placed in COVID-19 protocol, health and safety protocol. Let's call it what they call it, health and safety protocol. So Philadelphia had 4 players, Charlotte had 5, and most recently, since December 1st, Chicago Bulls have 10 players placed in health and safety protocol due to COVID-19. So definitely, I'm sure, and looking at it from Cleveland, the team that I cover, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland's hosting the All-Star game, which is a huge undertaking for that city, as well as huge financial commitment and benefit to the city of Cleveland. I believe it's February 18th through the 20th. Yes. So if we're having these outbreaks now, could Adam Silver pull the plug on the All-Star game in Cleveland? I believe it's a $350 million windfall for that city that they're expecting by hosting various events throughout that weekend, All-Star weekend. So could that be in jeopardy? It's a possibility. That remains to be seen. Is Karen Gibson, is there one specific test being given, or will any type of test do? Well, what they initially give every player daily is being tested with a rapid test, an antigen test. And it's a situation where they swab each nostril 5 times. There's a test card with a solution. It's 15 minutes rapid test until it comes back positive or negative. If you're negative, you're good to go to the next day. If you're positive after the rapid test, they then move on to what's called a PCR test, which is blood. They do draw blood. They do take, I believe that test is 24 to 48 hours, if I remember properly. So if you do test positive after the rapid antigen test, you are given a PCR blood test to confirm the results. And what's happened a lot, again, with LeBron James is the rapid test showed a positive. The subsequent PCR test showed negative. So it was deduced that that was a false positive with the rapid test. So it's uncharted territory that these leagues are going on, and not to sound flip or crass with my next statement, but it's not almost. They're making it up as they go because these are unprecedented times. These situations have not occurred. NBA hasn't had to play through a pandemic. NFL hasn't had to play through a pandemic. It's uncharted territory. So, as to recap, and again, 8 Cleveland Browns have been placed in health and safety protocol by the NFL after testing for COVID-19, as well as the Los Angeles Lakers are going through advanced testing for COVID-19 after an unnamed player has tested positive for COVID-19. Interesting times. But what we will do here is take a break. We'll again hear from Jacqueline Carr. You are listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK, legendary KYOK, AM 1140, 92.3 FM.
Winning strategy. Learning to save $2 or $3 out of every $10 was one of the lessons my parents shared with me. They wanted us to start early, teaching how to save so that we could break the curse of living from paycheck to paycheck and borrowing to make ends meet. My parents said that finances are a struggle for people, even good people. They wanted us to appreciate the finances we had, but also have wisdom of spending it. I had to learn it as a child that even though my parents gave me a roof over my head, food to eat, and clothes to wear, if I wanted to go to the movies or skating, I had to save money for those things. I began to encourage myself to save money. I learned that youth respond better if we challenge them even at a young age to learn how to manage every dollar they get. Welcome to Allstate, where we've just lowered our auto rates. And savings like that will have you jumping for joy. Now get new lower auto rates with Allstate, because better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click or call for a lower auto rate today.
All right, you are listening to Talk Your Team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK AM 1140, 92.3 FM. I am Willy Gibson. AJ is on assignment. Any results on the Christmas song? That was from Thursday. I did ask everyone. 9 shopping days left until Christmas. 9 shopping days till Christmas. So if you're like me, bear that in mind. Have I started? Yes. No, I haven't started. I have not started. But I will be finished by the 24th. So 9 shopping days remaining. Some people call it procrastination. Some people call it laziness. I'll call it, I know what I want, and I'll go get it when it's time. That's it. But the Christmas songs, I mentioned on Thursday that my top 5 Christmas songs were This Christmas, Donny Hathaway version, not Chris Brown. No disrespect, with all due respect. Donny Hathaway, This Christmas. Oh Holy Night, any version. That song speaks to in and of itself. Silent Night by the Temptations. Now, I mean, I grew up, my voice pretty much sounded like this when I was 12 years old. So at the end, to say Merry Christmas from the Temptations, that was it in my mind. In my mind, I was Melvin Franklin at some point, but I digress. Let's see, Old Tannenbaum, Nat King Cole, the Christmas song at Nat King Cole. And then a bit of a off the grid song for me, Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. And what can I say? I grew up in the golden age of rap. That song came out in 1987. If I can if I can date myself, I was 12 years old in 1987 when Christmas in Hollis came out, and that was my song. I think I told the story. I don't remember, but I'll tell it now. Friday, day after Thanksgiving, my family and I were traveling to see family, and my wife was listening to Apple Music. Christmas song was coming on, and I'm listening, I'm driving, and I'm hearing, Bing Crosby and Perry Como and Nat King Cole, and that was great. But I wanted to hear Christmas in Hollis. So I said, hey, babe, can you, my wife's name is Tiffany. Tiffany, can you search Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC? And she looked at me like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, yes, I want to hear Christmas in Hollis. So she played it. And then we went back to the other songs, the other traditional Christmas songs, if you will. But the funny part about it is, after that, she texted me the other day, and because Christmas in Hollis is a rap song considered, and Apple Music determines, well, if you listen to that, you must want to hear this. She started getting all these rap songs coming up on her Apple Music, and she's like, look, this is what you've done. So I kind of had to end up back. Like, well, put some other Christmas music in there, and it'll come back. It'll balance out. But it was cool. Christmas and Hollis is my my go-to, if you will. So that's my top 5. I see some coming through. Mary, did you know? Happy Holidays by the Whispers. Carol of the Bells, the John Tesh version. I'm not familiar with that one, but those are good. That's like I said, it doesn't have to be 5. It can be 1. It could be 4,080. What's your Christmas go-to? 9 days, 9 shopping days actually, but we actually have 11 days before Christmas. Today is December 14th. So but going back a little bit to the field, last night, Monday Night Football, the Arizona Cardinals hosted the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams actually went into Glendale, Arizona, and beat Arizona. Arizona was 10-2, number 1 seed in the NFC, and the Rams beat them. The Rams beat them 30-23. I say that as we can't get away from this, the Rams actually lost 2 players prior to that game with health and safety protocol requirements. Jalen Ramsey, starting cornerback, some consider the best cornerback in the game today, as well as tight end Tyler Higbee, were out for that game due to health and safety protocols. So looking at okay, Mr. Keith, I see it. Holly Jolly Christmas by Michael Bublé is the worst song ever. Got it. I'm gonna take a note. I'm gonna have to listen to that. I am taking a note right now. Holly Jolly Christmas. All right, I got it. I will take a note and I will listen to it, and I will definitely provide feedback. So, okay, Mr. Keith. So that's the worst. What's the best? What's your go-to? What's your go-to this time of year? And so Arizona again lost to the Rams 30-23. Rams answered a lot of questions. Matthew Stafford, this is being his first year in Los Angeles after a decade in Detroit. Questions were asked. Is Matthew Stafford bad because he played in Detroit, or is Detroit bad because Matthew Stafford was the quarterback? And it's more so been the latter when it comes to Matthew Stafford. People were questioning, is he really it? Can he be someone who can take a team to the playoffs? And it's not so much taking this team to the playoffs, because Sean McVay has already shown his system works. Jared Goff, who can't get a win in Detroit. Jared Goff was Sean McVay's quarterback, and Sean McVay took him to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, they lost to Bill Belichick and the Patriots, but Sean McVay has shown and has proven that his system, his game plan works. So now you have Matthew Stafford, who, by all accounts, is a better player than Jared Goff. So you would think, okay, then if Jared Goff was able to get to the Super Bowl with the Rams, then Matthew Stafford surely should be able to get to the playoffs with the Rams. And again, questions arise, questions remain. But last night, he took a step. He has another touchdown pass to Odell Beckham, which that makes 3 in 3 straight games for Odell Beckham. But forgive me for a moment as I indulge my Cleveland coverage and my Cleveland people. I thought Odell was the problem in Cleveland, that Baker can't be successful because Odell is the problem. But Odell goes to Los Angeles, Odell's catching touchdown passes. And in Cleveland, I think it's been since October 10th, since I think the Browns have scored 7 points in the fourth quarter. Since October 10th, they've scored less than 20 points, I believe now. Before Sunday, they did score 24 on Sunday, so you give credit where credit is due. But prior to Sunday, I believe there had been 6 straight games of less than 17 points. So if Odell was the problem, surely Cleveland should be much better than what they have been. But that clearly hasn't been the case, but I digress. And again, I don't think it's Baker. I know I've been here speaking to AJ on several occasions. It's not just Baker. I mean, Baker's the quarterback, but Baker follows a game plan, produced, crafted, originated by coaches. And if coaches don't put him in the right situation, then he can only do so much. Goes back to what I said about Matthew Stafford. Sean McVay, again, his system is proven. Jared Goff took them to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff took that game plan, took that system, and went to the Super Bowl and nearly beat the vaunted Bill Belichick and the Patriots. So with Matthew Stafford, should be no problem, right? But there has been. But one probably want to really look at in the fourth quarter. I think it was 3.5 minutes to go. And I don't think many people picked up on this play and what he was doing at the time, nor what it meant for the Rams. It was third down, and Matthew Stafford threw a pass to Odell Beckham. And he began to advance the ball, but he quickly saw that the defense is collapsing on him. He's not going to get much more yardage. So instead of going out of bounds where he was, that would have stopped the clock, he began to run backwards. And as he ran backwards, he ran out of bounds. And as he runs out of bounds, he's winding the clock. He's giving the wind the clock symbol, and the clock continued to run. And even Matthew Stafford was kind of looking like, what's going on? And it's a rule. It's a rule that players, if you run out of bounds going forward, giving yourself up, that stops the clock. I was able to look the rule up, but if you run backwards going out of bounds, you're able to allow the clock to keep running. And so, heads up play by Odell Beckham. Like I said, I don't know many people. Exactly, Mr. Keith. That was the smartest play that I've seen in decades. I agree. Because, like I said, I wasn't aware of that at all. And to see it, because I didn't see it live because I was in Cleveland covering the Cavs and the Heat last night. But when I saw the replay and I heard people talking about it on my drive home, and I actually saw it like that, and then to again recognize and discover that in fact it was a rule. And I guess, and I wasn't able to research this prior to the show, but I guess it happened on Sunday as well. I don't know what game, and I apologize for not having that information right now and being prepared, but I have to research that and find out exactly what happened on Sunday, because apparently the same thing happened on Sunday, where a player gave himself up running backwards and was able to keep the clock running. So, I mean, Odell got a bad rap in Cleveland. Just point blank period. He got a bad rap in Cleveland. He was perceived to be this, as most receivers are, perceived to be a quote unquote diva wide receiver. But Odell was probably one. I mean, to a person in that locker room, everyone got along with Odell. I mean, myself as a member of the media, the exchanges I had with him were phenomenal. I had no issues with Odell. Answered every question. Was cordial, was kind, and Not that he needed to be. I mean, that's appreciated. Don't get me wrong, but not every player is that, and so it's kind of troubling when you hear these reports of, well, this player is this and this player is that, and this player, and it all fits a narrative. Someone is benefiting from that narrative. Trust and believe. And then as a member of the media, and I'm not afraid to speak up on it. Someone is benefiting from the narrative of so and so player is a malcontent, or he's not a locker room guy, and he doesn't get along. It's always, and it happened in Cleveland with Odell. You had the unnamed player that Odell was a malcontent in the locker room. Now, mind you, John Johnson III, Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Wyatt Teller, J.C. Treader. I can go on and on and on. David Njoku, to a man. Everybody put it on wax, as the kids say. Put their name on it, as Coach Herm Edwards says. Put your name on it. If you're going to say something, put your name on it. No, it wasn't an unnamed player named Baker, Mr. Keith. He and Baker had their issues, but they got along. They got along well. I think if I can say the issue Odell had, and it was funny because everyone wanted to, again, the narrative was Odell's the problem. Odell's the problem. Odell's the problem. To the point where you had members of the media in Cleveland wanting to speak to Eli Manning to find out how did he, quote unquote, handle Odell and his antics and things of that nature. Odell just wants to win. Odell just wants to win. He wants to be productive. I mean, what player doesn't want to go out there and do well? I don't know a player that's, satisfied by, I want to be a part of the team, but I also want to do my part to help the team win. And if the team isn't winning and I feel I can do much better, or my contributions being increased could help the team win, I don't know that that's a negative, but for whatever reason, some people view that as a negative. And again, when this whole Odell's dad retweeted, he didn't post, he retweeted, someone else put together an 11-minute video montage of cut-ups. So cut-ups are when NFL teams have film, they have what's called cut-ups. So they cut up certain plays and piece them together for teachable moments to show, okay, versus this coverage, they do that. And perhaps here you should have, run that route a little deeper and not cut it so short, things of that nature. So someone posted an 11-minute video of all the times Odell was running wide open and did not receive the ball. 11 minutes. This season, it wasn't, Odell's been in Cleveland 3 years, so it wasn't an 11-minute montage of 3 years of plays. It was actually from, the first 9 games of the season. So in the first 9 games of the season, there was an 11-minute montage produced from where Odell was wide open and never received the ball. So that was the beginning of the end, if you will. Once that became public, I won't say public because it was already public, but once Odell Beckham Sr. posted that to his social media, and it became, Cleveland media became aware of it, that pretty much sealed the deal. Odell Beckham was going to be out. But again, talk about, talking to Eli Manning as far as how he handled Odell. But again, as I said earlier, the issues with Cleveland, I don't lay at the feet of Baker Mayfield. I think more so than that, when you look at Odell, I think we want to look at Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, because Kevin Stefanski, prior to coming to Cleveland, was the offensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings. And he had a receiver by the name of Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs down with the Buffalo Bills. And Stephon Diggs didn't see eye to eye with the offensive game plan in Minnesota. And again, because he was a receiver, he was classified as he's a diva. He's a diva. He's a malcontent. He's whatever. And I think those labels need to stop because, if an offensive lineman suggests a different blocking scheme or strategy, and the coach doesn't go along with it, that offensive lineman isn't classified as a malcontent. Or if a running back decides, okay, instead of running through the A gap, I'm going to run through the B gap because I think that's better. He's not classified as a malcontent. I don't know what it is with the narrative and wide receivers and who started it, but it's just amazing that the wide receivers are classified as divas. Why? They have a job to do. And again, with any player, if you feel like your job or your team can benefit from more of your talent, I don't think it's a problem. Now, if you're saying that and you're, it's just the narrative. Again, it's a narrative that someone is benefiting from, but I think it's unfair to that position group. But Stephon Diggs had issues with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota, and now is in Buffalo with Josh Allen, with Sean McDermott, with Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, and he's had no problems whatsoever. But here we are now in Cleveland, wide receiver, same offensive coordinator who's now the head coach, in addition to the offensive coordinator who still calls the plays as the head coach. And that's fine. As a head coach, you got the job based on the fact that they like you as an offensive coordinator. You should call the plays. I never understood that. That's the thing with Hugh Jackson in Cleveland. I never understood that. He was hired because they liked the offense that he ran in Cincinnati. But when he was hired in Cleveland, someone else ran the offense. Like, I don't understand. If you're a baker and you get the job, no pun intended, not Baker Mayfield, but if you're a chef and you get the job because someone has sampled your wares and dined at your restaurant and they like what you prepare, why would you then go to their restaurant and hire someone else to cook? They hired you based on your meal. But it happens time and time and time again. Coaches get hired, but then you're again, the narrative, you're looked at as egotistical. You're looked at as controlling because you are now the head coach and you want to continue to call plays. That's what got you the job. It doesn't make sense to me that you get a job based on the performance that you had at your previous job, but yet you hire someone else to do the job that you were hired for. I don't know. I'm just saying, to quote OJ, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. But they make the big bucks, but I think it's Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski is the issue. He wants to run a 3 tight end, run dominant offense, and that's fine. It's like someone made the analogy, and makes perfect sense. You have Odell, but you want to run an offense that's run dominant. So you have this Lamborghini in the garage, top notch, all the bells and whistles, top of the line Lamborghini, but you rather walk. That's essentially what the Cleveland Browns are doing. They were doing with Odell Beckham. Lamborghini, tricked up, waxed, ready to be driven, and they much rather walk. So I digress. But, it remains to be seen. So we shall see. We'll take our final break here on the lunch break. on the legendary KYOK AM 1140 and 92.3 FM. We'll once again hear from Butterball.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's AJ Jones with the lunch break on the legendary KYOK AM 1140 and 92.3 FM. It's that time of year when we are reminded of all the things we should be thankful for, and that it's more blessed to give than to receive. So with that in mind, on Wednesdays from now through Christmas, we'll give you a chance to win a gift certificate for Butterball. That's right, you can win a gift certificate for a Butterball turkey on Wednesdays on the lunch break between 12 and 2. Just be the right caller, and your Butterball turkey will be on us at the legendary KYOK AM 1140 at 92.3 FM.
All right, the final segment on Talk Your Team Tuesday on the legendary KYOK AM 1140, 92.3 FM. I am Willy Gibson, broadcast journalist based in Columbus, Ohio, filling in for AJ Jones. And just as we finish up, looking at the playoff standings for the NFL going into week 14, bearing in mind that this is the first year that there are 17 regular season games instead of 16. So week 14, 4 games left to play. Looking at playoff standings, you have the Patriots in the AFC, the number 1 seed with a record of 9-4. The Titans, 9-4 as well, ranked number 2. Additionally, the 3rd seed is the Kansas City Chiefs at 9-4. The 4th seed, as of now, the Baltimore Ravens at 8-5. San Diego Chargers at number 5, 8-5 as well. The Indianapolis Colts sitting in the 6th seed at 7-6. And right now, the 7th seed is the Buffalo Bills at 7-6. Say right now because you also have 3 additional teams at 7-6. The Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Denver Broncos. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams sit at 7-6, but due to tiebreakers and what have you, the Browns, Bengals, and Broncos sit on the outside looking in. Now, not to get too technical, you do have some tiebreakers between those 3 teams. The Browns have already beaten the Bengals once. They play, I believe, January 2nd. For a second time in Cleveland. The Broncos also played in Cleveland, and the Browns defeated them as well. So the tiebreaker came down to them. The Browns would win that. However, the Browns lose the tiebreaker if it came down to the Chiefs or the Chargers because they've already lost to both of those teams. So that should be interesting as you come down the stretch in the AFC. Now you go to the NFC, and the Green Bay Packers, 10-3, number 1 seed in the NFC. Mr. Keith Hennick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 10-3, the number 2 seed in the NFC. Again, also at 10-3, the number 3 seed in the NFC, the Arizona Cardinals. Number 4, the 4th seed at 9-4, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, the 5th seed at 9-4 as well, the Los Angeles Rams. The 6th seed at 7-6 is the San Francisco 49ers. And as well, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams all at 6 and 7, but right now, due to tiebreakers, the 7th seed in the NFC playoff picture is the football team. And I say that tongue firmly in cheek, the football team. With the Washington football team. I don't know if I have enough time. I don't, because we're running short. Our time is ending on this show, but the Washington football team sits right now in the 7th seed. Looking at Mr. Keith Hennick, I'm not sure that anyone wants to win the AFC. I think you're right. I would tend to agree with you because Bill Belichick, the second oldest coach in the league, has the number 1 seed in the AFC with a rookie quarterback. You know, he got shredded in the preseason, or actually in training camp prior to this regular season starting. He got shredded for cutting Cam Newton. And he knew. I mean, he knew something. He saw something in Mac Jones. Mac Jones went 15 to the Patriots, and he has them at the number 1 seed at 9-4. Maybe reports Mac Jones should have been taken 3 by San Francisco. I mean, they're 7-6. They're in the playoff hunt in the AFC. But if he's doing this in New England with Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, what could he have done in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan? That remains to be seen. But Bill Belichick knew. He knew. He had every day with Mac Jones. He saw enough in this kid. He trusted him. Josh McDaniel trusted him. And as a rookie, I mean, they won a game. And I say Mac Jones, but Josh McDaniel deserves a lot of credit. A lot of credit, because Belichick may just wind up as an AFC champion. Mr. Keith, he may. Bill Belichick may very well end up as the champion. So, okay, to that point, do you want to see, Mr. Keith, Patriots, Buccaneers, Belichick versus Brady in LA for the Lombardi? Do you want to see that? That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Because that all accounts, that could very well happen. Tampa Bay, as I said, the number 2 seed right now in the NFC at 10-3. The Patriots right now at 9-4 have the number 1 seed in the AFC. So they could very well be on the collision course to meet in LA for the Super Bowl. Bucks Bills will be a better game. Yeah, okay. But so you want to see the rematch? Would you be interested in that rematch? We just saw that game last Sunday. Would you think that would be a better? But think about the 2 weeks as a member of the media, Mr. Keith. I would love it. Love it. 2 weeks, Brady versus Belichick in Los Angeles. Love it. Love it. I get it. Bucks Bills would be a better game, but the sheer pageantry, the sheer media day at a Buccaneers Patriots Super Bowl, that would be phenomenal. I wouldn't mind a repeat of last year. You may get that. You could very well get that. You could very well get Buccaneers and Chiefs again, because the Chiefs they're ramping it up. They're ramping it up. 3rd seed right now. And Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Hopefully, this is the last year we can say offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy, because the Raiders are open. There are other jobs that should be open. I think this is the year that he gets a job. You're right. They're rolling. I mean, they started out a little sluggish. I mean, Patrick Mahomes threw a lot of interceptions early on, but they are rolling right now. I mean, note to self: don't hold a pregame meeting on the midfield emblem of your opponent. Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe they won't. Maybe they should send that to Cleveland. Maybe they should do that in Cleveland on Saturday. Have a meeting at midfield in Cleveland, because the Chiefs didn't take too kindly to that. You met on to that point. I know I'm short on time. motivation, all these little things. Like, for example, the Raiders, they've been on midfield before the Chiefs game and got blasted 49-9. Sunday Night Football, Packers, Bears. Aaron Rodgers told the Bears fans last time they played in Chicago, "I own you," and he's right. 22-5 going into Sunday night's game versus the Bears in his career. 22-5. The Bears were winning. The Bears were shockingly winning that game. And Robert Quinn, linebacker for the Bears, sacked Aaron Rodgers, gets up and does his discount double check belt celebration in his face. In his face. What he did that for, who knows? But from that point, it was all bad. The Packers came back and won the game. So it'll be interesting this last month of the season. AFC playoff picture, as you said, it's kind of muddled. NFC is a little bit clearer, but that remains to be seen. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but we are in the final stages, the fourth quarter of the NFL season, if you will. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But that is my time. I am so, again, thankful and grateful to AJ Jones for sharing this platform with me. Thank you to the Lunch Breakers as well. Feel free to reach out to me as well. You can reach out to me on social media at Will Knows Sports. You can reach out to me on Facebook at Will Knows. Thank you to Kenny Main for his time, his being so gracious with his time. Runfreely.org is the organization that he is doing such great work with, assisting veterans. And thank you, Lunch Breakers. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast. I always have fun when I come here. That's it. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to Talk Your Team Tuesday on the Lunch Break, the legendary KYOK, AM 1140, 92.3 FM. Thank you so much.